Welcome back to board 2. What a day we're having so far. And thank you for joining us, James. Just pausing for effect, letting Ron have the stage for about 30 seconds before he decides to join us. But how often do you see, Dan Dawson, two left-handers in the same game? It doesn't happen very often. Wade against Webster, maybe Wade against Martin Phillips, or vice versa. But yeah, this is a bit of a rarity. So if you like left-handers, this is the place to be.
Why are there so few left-handers in darts? There seems to be. There are many more left-footed footballers proportionally, left-handed cricketers, I imagine left-handed golfers. That's your sport.
There's a few. Mike Weir, the Canadian, Steve Flesh, Phil Mickelson. There's a few. I mean, Robert McIntyre's on the European Tour left-hander at the minute. It's not a great deal.
Okay.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of left-footed sports people, whether it's rugby or indeed football. But left-handed dart players, there's a few good ones. And maybe the best of all time is James Wade.
Not sure what discussion is being had there. Perhaps best not to find out. James Wade, the defending champion, produced one of the greatest displays I have seen in my years of covering the UK Open. I will put it that high, because Steve Lennon was playing darts from the gods and James Wade just kept him in his box. And he won it 10-6. And Steve Lennon, I swear, would have beaten any other person in the field playing in the manner he did. But Wade barely missed a dart at double. 67% on the doubles, James Wade. And an even more set of impressive statistics when you look at it, how successful he was at closing out visits where he's got darts at the double in that visit. A bit like Damon Heta, who's basically had one visit where he's got darts at double against Michael van Gerwen, where he didn't actually win the leg in that visit. So absolutely astonishing stuff, and done against even sterner opposition than MVG was throwing at Heta. But Ron the Bomb Meulenkamp has had a couple of battles. He beat Danny Baggish and averaged 100. It was really good. That was a 6-2 win. And then Krzysztof Kaczorki has got out of jail, survived 3 match darts, won the last 4 legs to win 10-9. So he's had one real slice of luck, a big slice of luck. Can he now capitalise upon it? Because if he plays like he did against Baggish, he can cause James Wade problems.
Looks like a new set of darts for this week for Ron. He usually utilises the golden set, and I'm pretty sure they're not a set that have had the golden coating rubbed off them through extensive action. But as far as James Wade is concerned, I've been following his career now for around 14 years. And the amount of times I've gone back to my hotel room and I've been rocking backwards and forwards, just saying, how has he done that? He's able to produce brilliance when needed. And the funny thing is, you don't get his reputation without doing incredible things at incredible moments. But there's every likelihood, even with this 180 in the first leg of the contest, that this could be utter dross, and he still wins.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter how he wins, he just wants to win. James Wade is not an averages man, but what he can do, and when he doesn't have, you know, the reputation of a Van Gerwen or an Anderson or a Peter Wright for sticking in those enormous averages, if he needs a big average, he will often find it. He just plays, you push him, and he does enough. He is the master of doing enough, James Wade. The James Wade formula is opponent's average plus 1. That's what he does, over and over and over again.
Or in his case, most of the time, his opponent's average -5.
Well, yeah, -5 and plus 15% of the doubles, and that tends to do the same thing. A James Wade 94 average is like 105 average for everybody else. It's like he's playing a different sport.
Maybe he's a Wiccan. Double 10. Yeah, predictable stuff from Wade, who gets a very tidy start. And Meulenkamp has been warned that Wadey is here to play it. He's not going to have one of those performances, by the looks of it, in the first leg that's going to be questionable.
Well, he hasn't had a decent fist of defending his UK Open title. He went out early both the previous occasions where he'd won the title and came back to defend it. Peter Manley and Colin Jaws-Lloyd, the two players to beat him quite early on in the tournament. But this is already the best title defence we've seen from him, so let's see how far it can go. James Wade now the world number 3 and is not impregnable. He would have to go on and win the title to stop Michael Smith winning the title and moving above him. But he's still looking very, very good to be number 3 in the world rankings come the end of this weekend.
Who would have thought at this point last year, when we were in Milton Keynes for the UK Open in 2021, that one, James Wade was going to be winning it for a 3rd time 10 years after he'd previously won it, and then 12 months on he'd be world number 3 and MVJ be world number 4. And times are a-changing.
Times are a-changing. And for the many times that I've made the point this weekend and in previous week that the landscape of darts is different, where we have lots and lots of players at the top of the game who can win things and you're not really sure who's the best. For all of this change, for all of this churn, for all the great players that have risen up the rankings and fallen away, and some of them careers that have come to an end already, James Wade abides. He's going nowhere, and there's no sign of him going anywhere for quite some time to come.
It's interesting as well that he's never had any injuries, long-standing injuries. And actually, you think about the thing that stopped him the most, it's been mental.
Yeah, it's been his mental health that's the issue rather than his physical health.
Yeah, good find there from Ron.
Ooh, like that.
That's very James Wade. Nobody uses treble 9 apart from the guys who really like tops. And I mean really like tops. A bit like this guy.
24.
But does he like tops as much as double 10? I'm not so sure.
Well, Ron the Bomb prefers tops to 10s. And he manages to pin it first time of asking to level the game at 1 apiece. He actually has beaten Wade a couple of times, including their most recent meeting. That was in November on the Pro Tour. The only other times they met were way back 7 years ago. That was the sort of early days of Ron Meulenkamp as a regular member of the tour, and they had a 1 win each back in 2014. So they're not regular opponents. But weirdly, Ron has got a winning record. You know, I'm not going to put a great deal of stock in that, to be honest. Games from 7 years ago. But the fact that he beat him at the back end of last year, it's not like he's going up against somebody who's going to be afraid of. He beat him, and he beat him pretty well, 6-3.
Trust me, getting a win against James Wade, no matter what form you're in, is difficult. When I was playing my best stuff, I still couldn't beat him. And then towards the end of 2018, I played James in Dublin in a Players' Championship event. And in order to beat him in a last leg decider, I had to take out 341 and 6 darts. That's the kind of thing you need to do now and again, just to get a result against him.
140.
Well, steady stuff. 127 left. 341 in 6 darts, you say?
Yeah.
All right. Bet you didn't do it like that.
Nope. One thing that Callan Ridds has done is get out of the blocks. He's 4-0 up on Van der Voort.
Yeah, I think it looks more like Vincent van der Voort underperforming than Callan Ridds going ballistic by the look of the averages. Treble 9. You're going to see a lot of games, legs won on red doubles in this match. Tops, 10s, 12s, bullseye.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see many greens. Maybe a double 5 in there if you're lucky. Now, Sebastian Bielecki is 8-5 up on Ian White. He's getting closer to the last 16 of the UK Open without a tour card. He's becoming the story. The story in this one is Wade doing what Wade does.
Game on.
Well, 3 holes to throw. Seen 2 very close games and one that was anything but on this stage so far this afternoon. Incredible display from Johnny Clayton. It was very, very impressive from Michael Smith. And Devon Peterson, Danny Noppert. I know Devon didn't get to that last leg decider, but he missed 3 darts to force it where he would have had the throw. There would have been a little moment at the back end of that game, having been 7-2 down, Devon Peterson would have been favourite to win that match. Not for very long, and then he lost about 15 seconds later.
There will be a draw
140.
after the main stage matches are completed, and indeed after all of the matches are completed from boards 1, 2, 3 and 4 this afternoon. And that will stipulate who plays who tonight, and shortly thereafter we will find out where they will play. Now Dan, I've got a question for you at the early part of this match. Have you got a favourite James Wade story? Anything that has come about with James, one that, if you think about it, really makes you think, yeah, that's very James Wade.
I mean, there's plenty of things I can think of. Yeah, that's very James Wade, but there's nothing that massively jumps out. I assume that you're going to hit me with a Wadey tale.
I've got a couple. When I played him in the Worlds in 2009, before the quarter-final, he turned up in the practice room wearing grey jogging bottoms, brown Ugg boots, and a pink V-neck sweatshirt. A very strong look.
That's
100.
I mean, thankfully, that's not regulation. You can't be wearing those on stage.
Oh, absolutely awful. But one time, somebody gave him a post-match interview dare and said, I bet you can't get the word cupcake into that interview. So when the person said, how did the game go, James? He went, yeah, it was a cupcake kind of game, really.
Yeah, that's cheating, isn't it?
I still don't know how he got out of that.
Oh, that's a great dart from Ron Meulenkamp.
80.
I really think you would have been better off looking at the treble 18, but see, he got the dart at double 16 that he wanted.
I think James Wade should look at the 16s on this shot, because he likes tops, right? 2 treble 16s and tops. But I don't think he's as astute as, say, Meulenkamp and some of his cronies would be to possibly doing that.
That looks awkward, but maybe isn't.
24.
And we know where Wade is going for this.
78.
Plan A, double 12. Plan B, tops. Oh, or 25 and bull. Nothing went right there.
58.
Missing the big number
8.
ultimately denies him darts for the leg. Well, it sort of looked inviting, but there was a little part of me was thinking you're in danger of going into the double 13 there if you use those.
Problem is, when you give Wade those chances, he's going to gobble them up. And one of the technical issues that Ron has with his throw is that, particularly on dart 3, he doesn't extend the arm straight. He tends to hook the arm, and it gets very shouldery. That's something he hasn't been able to eliminate from his game for a good few seasons now.
83.
Well, you can see from Ron in the early stage of this that the darts do end up going in at slightly odd angles. They look to kick over to the left a bit. And we've talked about this before. Double-edged sword. It can help you sometimes. It can hinder you others.
I just wonder if these new darts of Ron are of a different construct, whether they're a bit longer, whether they're a bit heavier.
They look to me, compared to his previous ones, the gold ones, yes, they are sort of bomb-shaped darts, but rather than being a bit more sort of front-weighted, like an Andrew Gilding dart, where it's very bulbous at the ends and then tapers quite a lot, this looks like the weight is more evenly distributed. It looks like a slightly thinner but longer barrel. It's sort of the thickness extends a little bit further. So it does look like quite a different setup, and that will change the balance of the dart, and it'll change how they sit in the board, it'll change how they fly in the air. It is very tiny adjustments to what is a small piece of equipment will alter, quite drastically in some cases, how you deliver the dart to the board.
And James doesn't change anything about his equipment, really. When he changed his flights about 4 years ago, people were shocked. He went from the Union Jack flight to the ones that he uses now, which have a little bit of Union Jack about them. Meulenkamp's got 6 from 161. And this game is starting to follow a pattern that I thought it would. I thought it would get a bit scrappy at points. Ian White and Sebastian Bielecki 8-all. White is fighting again 84. After that classic with Humphreys yesterday.
Well, Ian White, a player who has bemoaned his luck. He says the only thing that's been missing over the years for me, if I just had that little bit of luck that other players seem to get. Well, I'll tell you what, he's had plenty of luck this weekend. I mean, Gary Anderson averaged about 85 against him for 7 sets of the World Championship. He's 3-0 up. How much luck do you want?
You make your own luck. Isn't that right, James? 16 tops for 4-1. Or double 10. Could have been an old school 100 checkout, but not meant to be. And Ron can count himself very fortunate to be 3-2 down if he finds 40 points.
Well, double 10 for him. And again, does that help or hinder him?
20. James, you require 20.
You can feel the frustration of Ron Meulenkamp right now. You can't leave James Wade on double 10. Have we had a green double yet so far in this match?
No, we have not. Everything has been won on tops or tens. And Ron Meulenkamp, he would take any double at the minute because he's having an absolute nightmare at the finishing, and he's not completely happy with how the scoring is going either.
Yeah, it all looks a bit ragged. His rhythm, sometimes the follow through, he's going to have to scrap in this game. That is for certain. It's a dangerous thing to have to grasp to on Wade. He's looking pretty comfortable, especially when he's planting a dart cleanly into a 60 for a max with only half a bed to aim at. 9-8 Ian White. Is Bieletsky's challenge done?
The diamond battling back. Can he get over the line? James Wade going 4 darts into the 9 in this one.
137.
Absolute 9-dart magnet, James Wade. He attracts them. He wishes he didn't. People keep hitting him against him. I've done for well over a decade.
Yeah, people keep hitting 2 against him as well now. That seems to be, you know, Robert Thornton and him had 2 in the same game.
58.
Then, of course, Gerwin Price hit one against him after hitting one previously in the night. Phil Taylor in 2010 in the Premier League hit 2 against him in the same match.
140.
Mervyn King hit the first televised 9-darter in the Southern Hemisphere against James Wade in South Africa. Need I go on?
Well, I mean, at least he got a good view of him.
60. James, you require 44.
4 tops. As Chris Mason would term it, the Motone shot.
He's on the 6 flag.
All too easy, I'm afraid. And Wade will just be plucking
7 flag, James,
these legs out of the air as if he was walking around a field of strawberries with a very empty basket. Just say, yeah, just fill your boots, kidder.
Well, 6 legs into his game with Steve Lennon yesterday. It was 3-all, despite Lennon averaging 117. Here, Ron Meulenkamp, his average is not even in the 80s. And James Wade is hitting a 94 average with 45% on doubles, which is pretty much the James Wade blueprint. He will 94 average you to death.
Bieletsky White, 9-9. That's the first leg in a while for Bieletsky, but he's going to have to break White in the last leg of the contest.
Well, we saw the 19-year-old Keen Barry in charge of his game against Zonneveld. It went 9-9, and he pulled out a 12-darter to win it. Can Bieletsky produce something similar to hold off Ian White? And there's a chance with the open draw, you could see Bieletsky versus Barry for a quarter-final place at the UK Open. 2 teenagers, one of them who was born after the first UK Open took place.
Don't tease me. Don't tease me.
Hey, look, Ian White could yet win it. Although kicking off 45-41 is not going to help his cause.
This time yet, and we will keep you up to date with what happens in that match, wherever you are on Saturday afternoon, or indeed if you're tuning in around the world, wherever you're tuning in from, get in touch with us if you wish via the PDC's social media channels. Oh, great last start from Wade to leave that 160, and he is going to get a look at it because Meulenkamp's on a bogey number.
Yeah, I don't really know what Ron... He has 16 with his last dart, so I assume he didn't know what he was on.
91. There's your 160.
He took this out against Steve Lennon. Oh, it's just gone the other side.
I think he pulled that because he would have been going
82.
towards the left-hand side of that bed. So I think that was a pull.
74.
Meulenkamp's going for the 14s here. I thought he might have gone for the treble 18, but tops with a dart in the way. Has to do the Roberto Carlos. Doesn't hit the back of the net.
Danger requires 78.
For 6-1, it's double 12. And it's all too easy for Wade.
6-1 James Wade. Sebastian Bielecki has missed a match dart over on one of the outer boards against Ian White in that last leg decider. He will get more though. Can he get over the line and join fellow teenager Keane Barry? It was some story for Bielecki just to get through. He's had to come through the very first round of this tournament, Bielecki, and he has beaten Ian White by 10 legs to 9. White did not get himself down to a match dart. He was on 66 after 18 darts. It is not a good last leg from Ian White. He produced the most incredible last leg decider to win through last night. But he goes out and Bielecki joins Barry in the last 16 of the UK Open, and there's a very real chance they could be paired against each other.
Well, if that's the case, chuck us that game, will you? Because I want that game. Callan Rids 8-2 up at the break with Vincent van der Voort. He only needs 2 more, averaging 88. Van der Voort not playing well today, only averaging 84. But it seems to be following a very similar pattern to this game right here, because it is very fair to say that Ron is not playing well. He's got an 83.3 average, and Wade is about 10 better than that.
Well, I said he was the master of doing enough, James Wade. He's doing more than enough here. But he's still not having to hit the heights of yesterday, because Ron, unfortunately, it is much closer to his performance levels against Christoph Kachuk than it was against Danny Baggish. It needed to be a Baggish-type display to worry James Wade. But can he get a leg? He can. Doubles his leg tally.
You said exactly those words for Johnny Clayton against De Souza, in the case of De Souza, of course.
83.
He didn't get much meat off that bone, did he? The ferret was already taking the spoils and in the distance.
Yes. And Ron's just... I don't know what the issue is, but he's missing entire segments on a pretty regular basis.
You know, James Wade was introduced to Alan Glazier once at a Premier League, and someone said, "James, this is Alan Glazier,
the ton machine."
Yeah, nice to meet you. Exchange a few words, and James, after that, said, "Who was that?" Oh, the temerity! Alan Glazier, the ton machine from the 80s, until James came along, was probably the best left-hander ever.
Am I right in thinking that Alan Glazier was the first player to have his own sort of signature darts made for sale? Is that right? Or have I made that up?
I think that is one. I think he was one of them. I think J-Lo was up there in the early 80s. Barry Twomlow as well was another.
There you go. Bit of darts history for you. This man here has made plenty of darts history. Double digits in the number of big TV titles won by James Wade. An astonishing player.
I can see what he was doing there, going for the 51 first, but yet again, very much like De Souza in the last match, nothing is going right for the bomb.
Yeah, he's going to struggle to beat James Wade if he's only throwing 2 darts per visit. To be honest, at this rate, he'd struggle to beat him if he was throwing 4 darts per visit.
What what do you do mindset-wise at this point? Do you just take the shackles off? But yet again, only 2 registering there. I'm not even sure what happened on that occasion.
Or maybe this is new equipment. He's just getting used to how it behaves. But as I say, I think, I'm not 100%, but I think that the composition of the dart is slightly different from the set that he's used for an awful long time, Ron Meulenkamp. And it may just take a bit of time to learn what you can do with them and how they work. But we did see Devon Peterson 7-2 down and get to a point where he became favourite for the match against Danny Noppert. The difference is Devon Peterson was playing better in that game than Ron Meulenkamp is here.
96.
You don't really see a way back for Ron from this spot. I don't want to cast him out to sea like a deceased Viking, but Wade's not usually the kind of player that would let this kind of lead slip, apart from, say, a Grand Slam final.
Yeah, 8-0. Dangerous lead.
83.
And you see Ron that he's had a lot in the 5s, and then he gets one in the 1s, and I'm not sure he quite gets what's going wrong. That's the thing.
Look at this counting from Wadey. 25 first on 305. I guarantee you 15 years ago he wasn't doing that. I was talking about his evolution yesterday. That's something he has started to employ. Just better tactics, better mathematics.
60.
Looking to leave double 10 again.
100.
How's the score? And that's all right because he's coming back for that 100.
Yeah, it's still a 2-darter. Now Ron. That's a little unfortunate.
123, James, you require 100.
There will be a break after this leg. It looks like it's going to be 8-2. And that is the case. Picture perfect on the 100 checkout. A little bit of gumption there from Wade. As he leaves the stage, he knows that he only needs 2 more to put his name in the hat in the quest to defend his UK Open Championship here, and looking to be the only person to have ever won this championship in 3 venues. We'll be back shortly with the conclusion of this last match of the afternoon.
Well, how many more legs have we got in this afternoon session for you at Reds Bar Stage 2 at the Kazoo UK Open? The last 16 spot is on the line. The defending champion James Wade against Ron the Bomb Meulenkamp of the Netherlands. This could be done and dusted in just 2 legs. We could have another 9. But it looks unlikely based on what we've seen so far. Wade leads by 8 legs to 2 in a race to 10. I'll update you on what's going on elsewhere. Peter Wright 8-3 up over on the main stage against Simon Whitlock with a 99 average. Stephen Bunting has just taken the first leg in his clash against Willie O'Connor. Already seen wins recently for Sebastian Bielecki in a last leg decider with a diamond in white. And Callan Ridds has cruised past Vincent van der Voort. It's only a 92 average, but good enough for a 10-2 victory.
More ranking money for Callan Ridds.
81.
He hasn't had the best start of the season, but he may be about to turn his talent into a bit of a TV specialty.
Well, look, as James Wade proves time and time again, it doesn't matter how you win, what average, as long as you get through to the next round, you've got an opportunity then to play your best. And if Callan Ridds suddenly starts playing like he did at the World Championship at Ali Pali, he could beat whoever's in front of him. So, yeah, he may not have really clicked into gear as yet, but it's a chance for him to do it tonight, and maybe a chance for him to do it tomorrow afternoon, and who knows, maybe a couple of chances tomorrow evening when we got the semis and the finals.
So ahead of the draw,
60.
which is looking like it's going to involve James Wade, what's your idea, apart from Bielecki, Keane, Barry? Because there are only 2 boards tonight. If that's the case, I think Bielecki, Barry will be here. But what else would you want to see?
Well, I would very much like to see Callan Ridds versus Rapid Ricky Evans, and I would like it on our board because I think it could be 10-8. It could last about 15 minutes, and our cameraman and spotter may have aneurysms. It'll be brilliant.
85.
Who would you want Kruchma to go up against?
Big Boris Kruchma versus Dirk van Dijvenbode could be a game full of testosterone and weird behaviour, all sorts of stuff. It would be absolutely incredible. But then Mensur Suljovic, all of a sudden, it looks like he's playing well again as he enters his 6th decade of life today. Happy birthday to Mensur.
It's a really interesting tournament because of the amount of different flags.
Yeah.
England, Australia, the Netherlands, Croatia, Ireland, Austria, Poland, UK Open of 2022. Little bit international. It's great.
It is, but it's James Wade, England's #1 and the soon-to-be world #3 potentially. Unless Michael Smith leapfrogs him by winning the title. He is set to go within a leg of victory here. And that is absolutely no nonsense from James Wade. 1 away, and Ron Meulenkamp, if he was entertaining any faint hopes of a comeback when we started this second session of the match, I think they might have just evaporated.
I have to say that is the case. Even when Simon Whitlock was playing Jamie Caven at the Europeans, was it 9-3 or 9-4? I don't think it was 9-2.
I think 9-3 rings a bell. Was it a 1-4-6 checkout he had to win it?
Yeah, 2 treble 19s and double 16, and then he went for a bit of a wander on the stage because he had no idea what to do.
Well, there's all sorts going on with that throw. Look, evidently Ron Meulenkamp is a work in progress at the minute. He's got new darts. He's not entirely happy with his throw. But what we've seen so far, he has battled through one game against Krzysztof Kachuk. He's shown he's got some sticking power. He had a really good performance with a ton average against Danny Bagish. But against James Wade today, it just hasn't happened for him at all. I mean, that's a lovely 180.
He almost got all of those darts to mould together as one, like they were all a T1000 from Terminator 2. Incredible grouping there from Ron Meulenkamp. You can see those darts hitting the board, and they've got a bit of a wobble about them. I think you're right, you know, about these being a work in progress. When you do make weight changes or weight portion changes, whether they're front heavy or middle heavy, you're going to make mistakes like that. 2-2.
16.
Oh, it's 167 for the match then.
67.
Oh, messy stuff from Ron the Bomb. Even when he was about to produce his best leg of the match, it's all got very messy, and he's on that 2-2, and that can get very, very awkward. And James Wade with another perfect setup shot leaves himself on the 18 that he pinned last leg first dart. But he will not get a go at it this time around.
You said that being 8 legs in front was a dangerous lead. He was 8 legs in front, now it's only 7.
Well, even James Wade, famed for taking his foot off the gas when he's winning comfortably. I don't see him allowing Ron Meulenkamp back into this game to any significant degree. I may be proved wrong, but it would be kind of funny. I'd be very surprised.
We're calling it right down the middle, but it would be kind of funny.
Look, if yesterday I could see Steve Lennon coming back and win it. He was playing so incredibly well, but Ron Meulenkamp, it's not been good enough for long enough. He's having 2 or 3 good visits that he can put together, but then it's followed by 2 or 3 real scruffy ones where it doesn't look like he's happy with how he's throwing them, how the darts are going in the board, or where they're going in the board, crucially.
100.
It's that follow through from Ron that just goes to his right. It's got to try and follow the same path as where the dart is going. It's got to be thrust forward. When you start getting that shoulder involved, it tends to do its own thing, and the hand goes left or right. That's something you could work on. Look where this forearm goes. Forward, just like that. Forward. Beautiful. Third dart, doesn't like the lie. Wants to stay on the 60 and should. And that one was just a bit jabby. But it still found the target.
Well, he halves his score. And James Wade manages to produce a perfect shot, the 180. It is only his 3rd of the match, but he makes them count. And he is going to get a match dart, maybe a couple, you would think. Because James Wade, he may go back to the double 18, but it wouldn't surprise you if he went treble 7 for double top.
45.
I've got a funny feeling it's going to be the 25. Yep, double 18 match start for 10-3. And Wade, he gets the job done. No real surprise about that after a really dominant display. But the bomb will have his head scratched later. It was a good Friday for him, but Saturday is not fruitful. Wade is in the hat amongst the likes of Searle, Petter, Noppert, Michael Smith, and plenty more. We will be back here in Red's Bar from 7 p.m. tonight. Keep an eye on the social channels for the PDC over the next hour or so to see who will play who. When it's figured out where they will play, we will be back from 7 p.m. to bring you Stage 2 action from 7 p.m. local time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody. We'll see you in about 3 hours and 19 minutes. Take care, everyone.